Imagine checking your portfolio and watching Bitcoin sitting more than 40% below its all-time high. Retail investors are panic selling. Crypto forums are full of "I'm done with this forever" posts. Market sentiment continues to plummet, and the fear gauges are flashing red. This reflects growing panic among retail investors. Meanwhile, some of the same billionaires who built fortunes on old economy assets, plus family offices managing generational wealth in the Middle East, are quietly doing the exact opposite. They're buying. While retail investors panic, billionaires are buying. What do they actually see that everyone else is missing? They see a structured, long-term perspective, hidden right beneath the surface. Welcome to Eileen Finance, where we separate the signal from the noise. We focus on the actual data, cutting through the emotional hype. This guides real institutional decisions, with data, not. Let's frame this story through two people, each facing a completely different set of challenges. This is where their financial journey. Meet Farah and Owen. Farah bought Bitcoin near the top in late 2025, feeling confident about its rising chart. We all watched it drop over 40%. Overwhelmed by the market's volatility, she opted for relief over strategy, liquidating her assets out of pure exhaustion. Her logic? If the smartest people in finance were confident, we should be too. Why would the price be crashing this hard? Owen, on the other hand, works adjacent to institutional investing. Owen keeps telling Farah that the drawdown and the buying aren't actually contradictory. We must understand price and conviction. They are truly different concepts. But price and conviction aren't the same thing. True conviction requires a much longer horizon. Farah doesn't buy it, literally or figuratively. If billionaires were so confident, why wouldn't the price just be going up? Institutional confidence remains, while reality falls. That question is exactly where this gets interesting. Let's find out why. Quick disclaimer before we go further. This isn't a recommendation to buy or sell Bitcoin or any other asset. Cryptocurrency is highly volatile and carries real risk of loss. Everything here is based on publicly reported market data and statements from institutional investors. This is public, not insider information. Transparency remains the core of this ecosystem. Okay, let's break it down. Here's what's actually been happening. Bitcoin hit an all-time high near $126,000 in October 2025. Since then, it's fallen sharply at various points in 2026, sitting more than 40% below that peak, but deep into what most analysts would call bear market territory. Retail sentiment gauges, like crypto fear and greed indices, have swung into extreme fear multiple times this year. And yet, according to reporting from outlets like CNBC, and the documentary continues with complete continuity. and coverage of institutional flows. Some of the most conservative, risk-averse types of investors, sovereign wealth funds and family offices, represent massive pools of long-term capital, including several based in the UAE. Institutional flows have reportedly been accumulating Bitcoin. This reflects a highly disciplined strategy. Institutional flows are moving. They have reportedly been accumulating Bitcoin. We view these pullbacks as strategic opportunities. Arbitrage occurs because of them, not despite them. Corporate treasuries tell a similar story. Strategy. The company that pioneered holding Bitcoin as a corporate reserve asset. Strategy has continued adding to its position, initiating a steady pattern of continuous buying. This is institutional, reportedly deploying roughly $1 billion a week into Bitcoin purchases in early 2026. Strategy is building a large treasury holding. This balance reaches hundreds of thousands of coins. They are leading a wider institutional trend. Meanwhile, Spot Bitcoin ETFs launched in the US have collectively accumulated over 1 million coins since going live. Our dashboard reveals dynamic ETF growth, more than the estimated holdings attributed to Bitcoin's own creator. So Farah's assumption is that falling prices and institutional confidence can't coexist. Turns out to be the actual misunderstanding here. This highlights the long-term capital. So why would sophisticated, patient capital buy something whose price is actively falling? Think of it like buying real estate in a neighborhood you believe is undergoing long-term gentrification. If prices dip temporarily because of a short-term local scare, a factory closing or a bad news cycle can create short-term concern, but temporary events don't equal permanent loss when the long-term fundamentals can. A long-term investor with a 10-year horizon doesn't see that dip as a reason to avoid the neighborhood. They see it as a better entry price for a thesis. That was never about this month's headlines in the first place. That's essentially the institutional lens on Bitcoin right now. Family offices and sovereign wealth funds typically aren't trying to catch a short-term bounce. They're allocating a small percentage of a very large, very long horizon portfolio. Institutional investors view this asset as a strategic hedge to protect global portfolios against long-term currency and a scarce, non-sovereign store of value. From that vantage point, institutional investors focus on the horizon, aligning portfolios with long-term goals. A 40% drawdown isn't a red flag. Institutional money behaves differently. It's simply a cheaper price for the same long-term thesis. There's also a structural mechanic worth understanding. Spot Bitcoin ETFs don't just represent trading activity. Every coin an ETF holds gets pulled out of active exchange circulation. Active exchange circulation. Assets move seamlessly and into long-term custodial storage. Safe and secure. Combined with corporate treasuries doing the same thing. Funds are acquiring a growing share of Bitcoin's, earning a growing share of Bitcoin's total supply. A large portion of the Bitcoin supply is being locked away from short-term trading altogether. Institutions aren't just buying the dip, they are executing long-term allocation plans. Structurally, their buying behavior removes supply from the market. In a way that's different from typical retail trading. And retail investors, by contrast, tend to behave the opposite way. Investors are more likely to buy when prices are already rising, chasing the trend. And sentiment is euphoric, driven by rising retail dashboards. Institutions remain calm and more likely to sell during sharp drops. This is precisely when fear peaks. Retail investors sell while institutions buy. This cycle repeats across many asset classes. Whether Bitcoin succeeds or fails will be decided by the future, not by today's headlines. It's a well-documented behavioral pattern. Across nearly every asset class. This behavioral pattern is not unique to crypto. Emotional cycles are identical across all asset classes. The billionaires aren't smarter about the exact right entry price. They know that timing the exact bottom is impossible. Their edge comes from discipline, not prediction. They know they won't catch every bottom. Consistency matters more than perfect timing. Waiting for perfection delays action indefinitely. They simply don't believe they have to. By following a recurring schedule, consistency becomes the dominant strategy. Their objective is owning the asset years from now, but focus on years, not weeks. None of this guarantees Bitcoin will keep rising. Risk always is. Markets can stay volatile longer than anyone expects. But understanding how sophisticated capital thinks helps explain why their actions sometimes look counterintuitive. And sometimes, that's exactly where the biggest opportunities begin. Whether Bitcoin succeeds or fails will be decided by the future, not by today's headlines. The real lesson isn't whether to buy Bitcoin. It's learning how the world's largest investors make decisions under uncertainty. Because in investing, understanding how others think can be just as valuable as understanding the asset itself.